In this season, our third season, we'll be looking at one of China's very recent feats of engineering expertise, the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. The story focuses on how the chief engineer saw his project not simply in terms of a construction challenge, but also saw its aesthetics and its spirit harking back to some of the great bridge-building feats of distant ancestors. Now, talking of ancient feats of engineering, we also have a story about the Great Wall and its construction at its far western end at Jiayuguan. Workers were faced with the challenge of moving massive blocks of stone from a quarry to the building site. Listen on to hear how they overcame the challenge. We have stories about the power of music during wartime, the 19-year bitter exile of a Han Dynasty official, and a traditional story about the virtues of self-control. All of that, and also a story about the Dragon Boat Festival. So join us, expand your vocabulary, rediscover inspiring Chinese stories, and learn how to share them with foreign friends and with the whole world. 在第三季中，我们有现代工程领域的伟大成就——港珠澳大桥的故事。这个故事讲述了总工程师不仅将他的项目看成一个建筑挑战，还通过回顾古代伟大建筑成就，将工程上升到审美和精神层面的高度。而谈到古代建筑成就，我们还有一个发生在长城最西端嘉峪关的故事。在长城建设时期，工人们面临一个巨大的挑战，那就是如何将巨大的石块从采石场运到施工现场。通过这个故事，我们可以学习到他们是如何克服这个困难。除此之外，我们还有战争时期用音乐鼓舞人民的故事，还有关于汉代官员19年艰苦流放经历的故事，还有关于自律美德的故事，还有关于传统节日，就是端午节的故事。还在等什么？赶紧把词汇量扩充起来，把中国故事的知识储备丰富起来，然后向全世界讲述这些精彩的中国故事吧。那么在这一部分，我们将会把两个故事合二为一，那就是孔融让梨和曾子避席。说实话，当外国人第一次听到这两个故事的时候，可能会有一些反感。在现在的西方文化中，个人成就、自尊被充分强调，这就需要不断把自己展示给别人。虽然在以前对自己感到骄傲和对自己的身份感到骄傲是七宗罪之一，但是现在这些精神已经完全变得积极正面了，所以我们也可以看到这两个故事的视角都更加传统，跟现代的观念也完全不同。他们更加强调的是为人低调和为人着想。人们倾向于反对这些与现代主流观念不同的故事。我们常常觉得那些宣扬耐心、谦虚等美德的故事是老掉牙的。更加可悲的是，即使在中国，年轻一代经常会觉得传统儒家价值观是落伍的、过时的，有时候甚至会用道德绑架来形容儒家。但是我们花时间来思考一下，为什么孔融让梨这样的故事会跨越好几个时代，被人看成十分重要的故事呢？关键在于，这个是关于自控的故事，特别是对原始兽性本能的控制。通过仔细思考，不难发现，自控其实能够体现文明与野蛮的区别。用孔子的话来说，这个就是人跟禽兽的区别。所以控制本能和欲望是社会的基础。如果这一点都做不到的话，社会体系将会崩溃。我们做父母的人都清楚知道这一点。 抚养孩子很重要的一点就是教育他们控制欲望的能力，这会让你帮助孩子们更好融入到社会。像孔融让梨这种故事，可能在今天不是新潮前卫的，但是他们却保持着一如既往的根本性的正确性。好的，现在我准备从我们用英语讲中国故事基础级的书的关于孔融让梨的故事的英文版，从头到底读一读。Propriety, Li, as mentioned in the Analects of Confucius, has 3 layers of meaning: ceremony, etiquette, and politeness. Since ancient times, China has been a country of etiquette. There are many stories concerning propriety which have been widely handed down. In the book New Tales Commonly Told, there is the well-known story Kong Rong Takes the Smallest Pear, and a similar one in the history of the later Han Dynasty. It can be called a much-told tale. Kong Rong was a descendant of Confucius. He was a great literary figure in the closing years of the Eastern Han Dynasty, that is, 25 to 220. Together with 6 other literary figures, he was honoured as one of the 7 masters of Jian'an. In his early years, Kong Rong showed himself to be a hard-working person of talent. Once, when Kong Rong was 4 years old, he and his 5 brothers were eating pears. Kong Rong chose the smallest one. His brothers noticed this and thought it very strange. They asked him why he had chosen the smallest pear. Kong Rong replied, "I am the youngest brother, therefore I should eat the smallest pear." When the others heard it, they were very surprised that such a young child understood the ethics of yielding to others. His whole family realized that he was an exceptional person. Kong Rong's father wrote an account of this incident, and later it was spread by word of mouth. It was even included in the 3-character classic, in the words, "Kong at 4 chose the smallest pear." By this, the school primer taught children to learn the virtue of yielding to others. This story deals mainly with etiquette, but it is also permeated with the influence of ceremony. Now, another story, Zengzi Avoids the Mat, deals with politeness. Among the disciples of Confucius was one named Zengzi. One day, Zengzi was attending Confucius, sitting beside him, when the latter remarked, "In former times, the emperors used actions of the highest morality and the purest ethics to govern the empire. They complied with the will of the people to make the relations between them harmonious, and there was no conflict between the ruler and his officials. Do you know the secret to this?" Hearing this, Zengzi hastily vacated the mat he was sitting on and, kneeling before Confucius, bowed to him, saying with deep respect, "Master, I am too much of a dunce. Where can I learn such proper behavior? I beg you to enlighten me." Confucius hastened to raise Zengzi to his feet, and the 2 men had a long discussion about this. This story impresses upon us the respect and politeness with which Zengzi treated his teacher. Hearing that Confucius wished to instruct him, Zengzi jumped off his mat and begged him to do so. Although Zengzi was a man of great ability, he modestly referred to himself as stupid and dull, adopting a humble attitude. His every word, every action, every gesture, every movement showed his inner respect for his teacher, matching his genuine thirst for knowledge. At the same time, it showed the high regard for propriety among the Chinese people since ancient times. These 2 stories are about propriety. The Confucianists endowed this concept with many meanings, while these 2 stories only unfold 2 of them. In one, there is a boy. In the other, a young man. In the minor events of their lives, they displayed a fine sense of morality in every gesture and action. It is this heritage of countless numbers of children of China that has earned for China the fine name of country of etiquette. It is hoped that children today will cultivate fine manners so as to grow up to be well-mannered young people. The moral of this story. Propriety is one of the Chinese people's fine traditional virtues. The promotion of propriety has encouraged harmony in our society. From their earliest years, the children of China learn to understand and preserve propriety, and it is by earnestly practicing it that the people have displayed a splendid moral character, promoting Chinese civilization through the ages. 好的，那么大家刚才听我把整个故事从头到底用英文读一读。那么现在 let's practice some recitation skills. 咱们现在通过下面的一个段落练习一些朗诵的技巧。好，我们来听听。Among the disciples of Confucius was one named Zengzi. One day, Zengzi was attending Confucius, sitting beside him, when the latter remarked, "In former times, the emperors used actions of the highest morality and the purest ethics to govern the empire. They complied with the will of the people to make relations between them harmonious, and there was no conflict between the ruler and his officials. Do you know the secret to this?" Hearing this, Zengzi hastily vacated the mat he was sitting on and, kneeling before Confucius, bowed to him, saying with deep respect, "Master, I am too much of a dunce. Where can I learn such proper behavior? I beg you to enlighten me." Confucius hastened to raise Zengzi to his feet, and the two men had a long discussion about this. So, what do we do in this passage to convey what we want to convey? Well, first of all, we have to get across the calmness and wisdom of Confucius. As we recite the quotation from his speech, we also need to convey with our voice that he is instructing his students. His voice should sound didactic, calm, and wise. 那么我们在这个段落表现什么呢？首先，我们需要理解孔子的冷静和智慧。当我们读到他的原话的时候，我们也需要用声音展示他在教导学上，因此他的声音需要听上去富有影响力，同时显得冷静和智慧。We can then contrast that with the eagerness of Zengzi. The speed of our voice should increase, and the mood of our voice should be adjusted. It should become more and more excited and eager. 我们可以将其与曾子的欲望进行对比。我们的语速需要加快，我们的说话的语气也应该调整，显得更加兴奋和有渴望感。We can signal this contrast as we say key words like hastily. Let's look at that sentence and listen to the way I emphasize that particular adverb. 所以，当我们说到 hastily 这样的关键词时，需要显示出有对比的感觉。我们来看一下下面的句子，然后听一听我是怎么样朗诵，特别是 hastily 这个单词。Hearing this, Zengzi hastily vacated the mat he was sitting on. Okay, so we also need to use our voices to convey his humility in the following sentences. 我们也需要在下面几句话中体现他的谦卑。Master, I am too much of a dunce. Where can I learn such proper behavior? I beg you to enlighten me. However, it's important that we do not exaggerate or mock Zengzi's sincerity. As I've mentioned before, these stories express ideas that we're not so used to today, so we can make the mistake of sounding 假惺惺 when we express Zengzi's humility. So we must really try to engage with the genuine emotions of Zengzi. 我们不需要去夸张地表现曾子的谦卑，像我之前提到了，这些故事传递了一些对我们比较陌生的想法，所以我们不能犯这种错误，那就是 表现谦卑的时候，让自己声音听上去假惺惺的。我们必须真诚地投入到曾子诚恳的感情中去。Okay, let's listen to the whole excerpt again. 好的，我们现在来听一听整个段落。Among the disciples of Confucius was one named Zengzi. One day, Zengzi was attending Confucius, sitting beside him, when the latter remarked, "In former times, the emperors used actions of the highest morality and the purest ethics to govern the empire. They complied with the will of the people to make the relations between them harmonious, and there was no conflict between the ruler and his officials. Do you know the secret to this?" Hearing this, Zengzi hastily vacated the mat he was sitting on and, kneeling before Confucius, bowed to him, saying with deep respect, "Master, I'm too much of a dunce. Where can I learn such proper behavior? I beg you to enlighten me." Confucius hastened to raise Zengzi to his feet, and the two men had a long discussion about this. 好的，那么今天的课就基本上到这里了。希望大家可以反复练习我刚才朗诵的哪个段落，然后正去模仿我的语气、我的语调。好，下一次再见，拜拜。